Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐥 Sharma.
Hello and welcome to ForumIAS. Today is 18th August 2023 and these are all the articles that we are going to discuss today. The first article is about the Births and Deaths Registration Amendment Act. This act has recently been passed by Parliament and has got the assent of the President of India. What was stated as objective of this particular act in the bill was that to create a national and state level database of registered births and deaths, which would help in updating other databases, resulting in efficient and transparent delivery of public services and social benefits. So basically, there would be a national level database and a state level database for birth and death. Using these two databases, other databases would be updated. Other databases like the Aadhaar database, for example. These databases would be updated on the basis of the national and state level database on births and deaths. So, the Registrar General of India, he is tasked with the responsibility of maintaining a national level database of births and deaths. And for each state, there is a Chief Registrar of Births and Deaths. And they are required to maintain a state level database of registered birth and death. So, they will maintain the state level portal as approved by the Registrar General of India. So, he is the highest authority and he will be approving the format in which the Chief Registrar of Births and Deaths of every state would be maintaining the state level databases. As I already mentioned, these databases will be used to update other databases like the National Population Register (NPR), Aadhaar database, electoral rolls, ration card, passport, other databases at the national level as may be notified. This as may be notified is very important. We will discuss the nitty-gritty of this in the next slide. So basically, we see that the Registrar General of India would maintain a national level database and the Chief Registrar of Births and Deaths in every state would maintain a state level database. And these two databases would be used to update other databases. Moving on, in case of birth, the new amendments say that the Aadhaar number of the parents should be collected. But nothing is mentioned about collecting the Aadhaar number of the deceased person, that is, a person who has passed away. If we are to update many of the databases, that also means that we have to remove the names of the deceased from the database. Say for example, we take the voters list. In that also, deceased persons should be removed. Only if this birth and death database is updated with the Aadhaar number of the deceased person, then only it will be easier to update other databases. Okay, if the Aadhaar number of a deceased person is not collected, it would be impossible to achieve this objective, that is to update other databases using the birth and death databases. Earlier, Registrar General of India had only the role of coordination because registration of births and deaths came in the domain of the states. So, the Registrar General of India was only a facilitator. He was only coordinating this process. But now, an additional responsibility of maintaining the central database has been given to the Registrar General of India. So, if the other databases like NPR, Aadhaar, etc. need to be updated based on the birth and death database. Instead of maintaining a central database, there can be direct connection between the state level database and the other databases, right? It is possible to design a system wherein the required data flow to their databases on a daily basis or even a real-time basis from the state level database. That is also possible. It can be made possible. So, why do we need a national level database? And that leads to duplication of efforts, right? Because whatever national level database comes in, it will be a collection of all the state level databases, right? And then the other institutions like UIDAI, they will update the Aadhaar database based on the national database. Instead of going through this process in a roundabout manner, directly from the state level database, the data can be updated into the other databases. So that is what the author is saying, which is a very valid criticism. And also, it has been listed, this NPR has been listed, Aadhaar database, electoral rolls, they are listed, but other databases can also be updated on the basis of the database of births and deaths. But these other databases may be notified. This is a very dangerous precedent because we are not getting the parliamentary approval. For this Aadhaar database, NPR and all, we have gotten the parliamentary approval. In future, if any other database is being notified, that is without the parliamentary approval, the central government themselves can notify that such and such database will be updated on the basis of this birth and death database. This could set a dangerous precedent. Why? Because government can now decide that a list of women whose third or higher order birth is being registered be prepared and given to the Family Welfare Department for follow-up on family planning programs. So, if a lady is registering the third child that she has given birth to, and suddenly government officials are showing up at her doorstep talking about family planning, it is an affront to privacy. It is a breach of privacy. So, arbitrarily the other databases should not be notified by the central government. It should go through the process of parliamentary approval. That is another valid criticism that the author of this article has. And especially with cause of death certificate, there is a redundancy. What is it? We will see. First of all, because of the amendment, all the deaths in medical institutions, the cause of death certificate has to be sent to the registrar of births and deaths. And a copy of that certificate is to be provided for closest relative. Even for deaths that occur outside hospitals, the medical practitioner who attended to the deceased during the person's recent illness has to issue a certificate. Okay, a person had passed away outside the hospital in their home, whatever may be the condition, the most recent hospital visit would be tracked, and the doctor who attended this particular person, they will issue a certificate of cause of death. But this is problematic. Why? Because the medical practitioner may not have always arrived at a definite diagnosis before the person died. Say for example, that person went to the doctor only once, and after that he didn't come for any follow-ups, and eventually he passed away. How can this doctor certify the cause of death? Because this doctor has not even arrived at a definite diagnosis. There were simply not many visits from the deceased person's side while he was alive, right? That is the first problem with issuing a cause of death certificate. Second one is about the Ayush practitioners. If this particular person used to go to a Ayush practitioner, the cause of death that the Ayush practitioner would give, it would not be in alignment with international classification of diseases of WHO. Okay, so in that case, how can the cause of death be integrated into the larger database? That would be a problem. Section 17 of the Act, which is the Registration of Births and Deaths Act, it says that the inclusion of cause of death in the death certificate is prohibited. But now what happens? There will be a death certificate and there will be a cause of death certificate also be issued. So it is kind of self-contradictory, right? Instead of issuing a separate cause of death certificate, the cause of death can be included in the death certificate itself, right? So this is also another procedural difficulty that has been added by the amendment. Okay, so that's it for this opinion piece. We'll move on to the next article. The second article talks about the recent amendments or the recent bills that were introduced to replace the IPC, that is the Indian Penal Code, CRPC, that is the Criminal Procedure Code, and the Indian Evidence Act. So what are the pros and cons of the three new bills introduced? That we are going to discuss. First of all, we'll discuss what are all the problems associated with the new bills. Okay, so these new bills, it is difficult to integrate them with the precedents, jurisprudence and case laws that were developed on the basis of old codes. So the IPC, it came to force in 1860. So roughly it has been operational for 164 to 165 years. All these years, the jurisprudence regarding the IPC would have evolved. Now, we are replacing and rehauling the entire criminal justice system by introducing these three bills. So, how would we integrate these three new bills with the precedents, jurisprudence, case laws related to the old codes? That is one concern. Another concern is regarding detention without bringing charges against a prisoner. So in Scotland, you can only detain a person for 6 hours before bringing charges against them. Currently, you can detain a person for 60 days until you bring charges against them. But the new bills, they extend this time period to 90 days, which means a person can be jailed for up to 90 days without bringing any charges against them. So this doesn't seem like a modern development. We are not modernizing. If we see the Western countries, they have completely shortened the time for which a person can be jailed without bringing up the charges. It is merely 6 hours. Whereas India is regressing. It is moving from 60 days to 90 days. So the purpose of introduction of the new bills is to modernize the criminal justice system. Instead, we are not modernizing, we are regressing. That is one criticism. And then the new criminal procedure code, it seems to have formalized this principle not just for acts related to terrorism, but for any IPC offence, a person can be jailed for 90 days without bringing any charges against them. And this new CRPC gives a lot of discretionary powers to the police. That is the right to handcuff, which was never there in India. But now, through these new bills, the right to handcuff has been introduced. There is discretion to handcuff a person. There is discretion of a police officer to arrest a woman after sunset under exceptional circumstances. Currently, a woman cannot be arrested after sunset under most of the circumstances. But now some relaxation has been given to enable arrest of a woman even after sunset, and to use any force and means necessary when arresting a person. So this increases the discretion of the police. Our country is known for custodial torture, extrajudicial killings like encounters. In that context, if these discretions are provided to the police that could legitimize encounters and all kinds of violence at the hands of police. It could lead to police brutality. Case laws like D.K. Basu and 𝐂𝐻𝐚𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐥, they can become redundant. This D.K. Basu case is against handcuffing. After this D.K. Basu case only, handcuffing was prohibited. 𝐂𝐻𝐚𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐥 case is regarding the sedition clause. This particular case uphold the validity of sedition. But now in the new bills, sedition has been deleted. That provision has been deleted and it replaces sedition with subversive activities, which is a very vague term, and even more than sedition, subversive activity is a broad and catch-all term through which many people can be accused of engaging in subversive activities. It brings in more ambiguity in law. Terrorist acts have also been defined under the new bills. Despite having special legislations like Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, despite these acts already existing, terrorism has been newly defined in the codes that are going to replace the IPC, CRPC and Indian Evidence Act. Even so, if you damage a property, it could be constituted as a terrorist act. This is a very broad definition. So, anybody can be charged with the crime of terrorism. Another section talks about provocation and intimidation of the government. But anything can provoke a government, right? And that can be termed as a terrorist act. So terrorism again is a very catch-all term and it has been defined in a very ambiguous fashion that could lead to misuse of law. Then section 377 was deleted, right? We know about the 𝐂𝐡𝐚𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐥 judgment, in which section 377, which criminalized homosexual activities, was repealed, right? And in that section 377, non-consensual sex was still an offence, but the new bills, they have removed section 377 completely. So there is no scope for prosecuting rape in the case of adult men. That is, in gay sex, if there is a rape, there is no means for prosecuting that. Or if there is any rape of transsexual people, there is no means for prosecuting that. So that is a lacune in law. That is to say that the rape provisions are gendered and they apply only to women. Government has also forgotten about sexual offences perpetuated by men on men or women on women. So the rape laws could be more nuanced. These are all the criticism against the newly brought about laws. We will see the pros of the newly introduced bills. We all know that IPC was enacted in 1860 and much water has flowed down the rivers. So we should have criminal justice system which reflects the modern times. In the D.K. Basu versus State of West Bengal 1996 case, people should not be handcuffed. This was the judgment. But we see this practice in many democratic countries including US and UK. You can see even heads of state being handcuffed. But in India, even if a man is a member of a mafia, that person can't be handcuffed. Even if this person is a very despicable criminal, that person can't be handcuffed. So then why should the police be forced to touch a person? Terrorism has been defined, organized crimes have been added, and sedition has been repealed. Sedition was repeatedly in news for the past 2 to 3 years. It is a welcome step that sedition charges have been removed from the new bills. New provisions regarding community service, mob lynching, all these things are a welcome move. Stricter punishment has been proposed for crimes against women also. However, one minor complaint is that section 302 is murder. We all know that. Section 420 is cheating. We all know that. But in the newly introduced bills, the sections are changing. So it would be very difficult in the National Crime Records Bureau and Crime and Criminal Tracking Network and System (CCTNS). So there will be difficulty in documentation because of this. Finally, once the trial concludes, the judgment has to be given within 30 days and only 2 adjournments are allowed. So this is a welcome move because it will speed up the judicial process. Again, if you can't finish a trial within 6 months in petty offences, then that person will not be tried. So this will also reduce the number of under trial prisoners. So this will also reduce the backlogs in the judicial system and lead to speedier dispensation of justice. So on the whole, we have discussed the pros and cons of the newly introduced 3 bills replacing the IPC, CRPC and the Indian Evidence Act. Next article is about President Murmu launching the warship Vindhyagiri. So this Vindhyagiri is a part of Project 17A Alpha frigates built by the Indian Navy at the Garden Reach Shipbuilders and Engineers. Garden Reach Shipbuilders and Engineers are located at Kolkata. So what is the potential question that can be asked is, they might ask that Project 17A is often seen in the news in the context of, or they can ask about the ship Vindhyagiri itself. In 2016 prelims, there was a question about INS Astradharini. Similarly, there can be a question about INS Vindhyagiri. Okay, so that is the prelims point of view utility from this article. Also, we will have a little bit of information about Project 17A, that is the Project 17 Alpha frigates. P-17A, it was launched by the Indian Navy in 2019 to construct a series of stealth-guided missile frigates. Frigates are a type of ship, okay, and these particular ships, they are stealth, which means they are not easily detectable by a radar, that is stealth, and missile frigates, which means missiles can be launched from these ships. Okay, and in the Project 17A, 2 companies are involved, that is Mazagon Dock Shipbuilders MDL and Garden Reach Shipbuilders and Engineers. They are involved in the construction of ships in the Project 17A. These guided missile frigates, they have been constructed with specific stealth design. I already said that stealth is a technology that would prevent detection by any radar. So there is a radar absorbent coatings. So radar, how is it detecting any ship? Radar will send out a signal and it will hit a ship and it will be reflected back to the radar. Okay, only then the radar can detect a ship. It will detect the ship somewhere here. But if there is a radar absorbent coatings, this particular incoming radiation will be absorbed by the paint of the ship and this ray will not be reflected back at all. So the radar cannot detect this ship, and low observable because of that. It is not observable that easily in the radar, and this makes its approach undetectable for the enemies. So it has stealth technology. New technology also reduces the infrared signals of the ship. So if there is any body that is running on energy, even including human beings, they will emit infrared radiation. If radar cannot detect a particular body, infrared radiation can be used to detect a body. Even this particular Project 17A ships have reduced infrared signals. You would have seen in movies like Predator, wherein the predator will find the humans using the infrared technology, infrared camera. So this person will be in red and green color. With the help of that, the predator will see the human being. Similarly, one can also locate a ship using the infrared rays that are emitted by the ship. These ships in Project 17A will emit very less infrared signals also. The first stealth ship launched under Project 17A was the 𝐂𝐿𝐵𝐺𝐻, which was in 2019. 𝐒𝐡𝐚𝐬𝐫𝐺𝐻 was the second ship. It was launched in May 2022 and it will likely be commissioned in 2024. All these Project 17A frigates are part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat program because they are indigenously designed and built. Next article is about a flood forecast app launched by the Central Water Commission. This app is called as Flood Watch, which can forecast the chances of floods a day in advance. Recently, we saw the Himachal floods, Uttarakhand floods, Delhi floods. So this makes this Flood Watch app even more important. Apart from providing flood warning a day in advance, this particular app also provides a 7-day advisory on the chances of floods at various stations in the country where the Central Water Commission maintains its measurement gauges. CWC stands for Central Water Commission. Central Water Commission. Okay, so in this particular Flood Watch app, there will be map of India and there will be small circles all over the map of India at the stations where the Central Water Commission has its gauges. That means the places where the Central Water Commission can measure the flood levels. Okay, so these circles, if they are in green color, that indicates normal. If these small circles are in yellow color, it indicates above normal. Orange means severe, red means extreme. Say for example, this is the India map. Excuse me for the poor drawing. Okay, so there will be small circles here and there. Okay, wherever the CWC has their measuring station all over India. This circle is green in color, then it is normal. Yellow means above normal, orange means severe, and red means extreme in terms of flood risk. Clicking on a circle shows the water level at the station. So if you click on this circle, it will show you what is the water level, what is the danger level, what is the warning level. So anybody can see what is the current status. And these warnings are in English or Hindi, and there is also an option for a voice enabled prompt. Which tools are used to build this app? It is satellite data analysis, mathematical modeling, real-time monitoring. All these tools were used to build this Flood Watch app. So if the question paper is very easy, they can ask Flood Watch app was built by which of the following, or this can come in match the following question, wherein there will be multiple institutions and the apps that are launched by them. Then they can ask 1 pair only, 2 pairs only, 3 pairs only, all the 4 pairs. In that also this type of question can come. Or there can be a statement based question exclusively on the Flood Watch app itself. So these are all the types of questions that can come from this news article. The last article is about WHO chief asking nations to unlock the power of traditional medicine. So the WHO Director General Dr. Tedros, he came to India on the sidelines of the G20 Health Ministers meeting, which is being held at Gandhinagar. So he is saying that the countries have to work towards unlocking the power of traditional medicine and provide evidence and action-based suggestions that could be interpreted into a global strategy. The problem with traditional medicine, whether it is Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, etc., they are not evidence-based. In allopathic medicine, if there is a procedure, there are many medical papers, there are many peer-reviewed journals, which is absent in these indigenous systems of medicine. So Dr. Tedros is saying that if only these traditional practices can also be scientifically validated, we can incorporate this into the national level strategies as well as global level strategies on health. Okay, so as a part of this G20 health ministers meeting, Gujarat declaration would be passed. Okay, so he is saying that this Gujarat declaration will integrate the use of traditional medicine in national health systems and help unlock the power of traditional medicine through science. It is just reiterating, and he hopes that the Gujarat declaration would include a provision about integrating traditional medicine and science. And another important piece of information is this: WHO's Global Center for Traditional Medicine is to be headquartered in India at Jamnagar in Gujarat. So this will help in accelerating the advancements in traditional medicine globally. It is not just restricted to Indian traditional medicine systems, but also it caters to traditional medicine systems from all over the world. So that's it for this article. We have come to the end of the discussion. We will discuss some pre-Qs. Which one of the following groups of plants was domesticated in the New World and introduced in the Old World? Old World means Asia, Africa, Europe. New World means the Americas, that is the North America as well as the South America. Which of these crops were introduced from the Americas into the continents of Asia, Africa and Europe? That is the question. A. Tobacco, cocoa, rubber. Tobacco, cotton, rubber. This can be eliminated because cotton was already present in the Old World. We have studied about Indus Valley people using cotton clothes, right? Cotton, coffee, sugarcane, again cotton is there. This option can be eliminated. Rubber, coffee and wheat. Wheat has been a staple food for a long time and it was not introduced from the Americas. So the answer is A. Tobacco, cocoa and rubber. These crops were introduced as plantation crops in the Old World. And to run these plantations, enormous amount of labor was required, and that is why slavery as an institution prevailed. Okay, we need not go into that depth for this question. We'll move to the next question. Consider the following statements. Asiatic lion is naturally found in India only. This is absolutely correct. Double-humped camel is naturally found in India only. This is wrong, because double-humped camel is not only found in India, it is found in Iran, other Arab countries as well. One-horned rhinoceros is naturally found in India only. This is also not true. Some of its population are found in Nepal as well, because at one point one-horned rhinoceros it inhabited the entire North India, roughly the Himalayan region. So one-horned rhinoceros, they are not restricted to India only. So the answer is A, one only. Next question. Famous places and the rivers. Pandharpur is located on the banks of the river Chandrabhaga. This is correct. Tiruchirappalli, it is in Tamil Nadu. It is located on the banks of river Kaveri. This is correct. Hampi is in Karnataka, but it is not located on the banks of Malaprabha. It is located on the banks of river Tungabhadra. So which of the given pairs are correctly matched? That is 1 and 2 only. If we go by 1 pair, 2 pair, 2 pairs are correctly matched. Okay, so that's it for our discussion. Follow us on all the social media platforms. This is Indumathi signing off. Thank you and all the best.